everyone, welcome back to Real Reds Talk and welcome to the preview for the Crystal Palace game. Man United versus Palace in the Premier League. Of course, we've just played a team recently, 48 hours ago, whatever it was. We're expecting a lot of changes in this one, tactical tweaks from both sides and managers. So yes, it's the same team, but we're expecting it to be a completely different game. I'm coming to you live from my bedroom. I'm actually stood up doing a show due to medical reasons, but we will speak about that off camera. I don't want to speak about that on camera today. I want to talk about football. We've got Dan and Shreyas alongside me. How are we doing, fellas? Are we all good?
Yeah, all good.
Doing perfectly.
A long time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I want to hear. Two ticks from the two lads in India. Right, I've got a bit of a warm up for you as always.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Are you ready?
Yeah.
Back with the warm up. Quick time. True or false? None of our players have scored more than one goal in the Premier League.
False.
No, true.
Oh, okay.
Not one.
Bruno scored 2.
Scored 1.
But Bruno scored a pen against Nottingham and then one against Burnley. So he's got 2.
No, scored against Burnley?
Yeah. The cross from the ball from Johnny Evans and then he scored the volley.
Hold on. Let me check this because I was on top score before.
VAR.
I think you've beat fucking. Go to VAR. 1 second. Let me have a look. Let me do a review because I went on top players before and it said goals. Casemiro 1, Garnacho 1.
It has penalty
Martial
goals
1.
beneath it, I think, as a separate thing.
Right. Okay. So what I should have said is open play, but yeah, you're absolutely right. You've got me on a technicality there, so that's a great start to it.
Yes.
Right, let's hope none of the others go like that. Right, who costs more, Mark Gay or Diego Dalot?
Dalot.
Nope, Mark Gay. Only just 20.1 million. And that is true. Trust me, I checked that before. That's not wrong. That's true. Only just by $1 million though. Mark Gay cost a little bit more. Scott McTominay has scored more goals in the Premier League than Hodgson Edouard. True or false?
Could be true.
Could be true, could be false.
Edouard has been in the Prem for like...
I'll go with true.
2 seasons now or 3 seasons?
I can't answer that. I'm sorry, pal. I'm going to have to leave you on your own on that one, I guess.
What
do we all think?
I'll say McTominay.
Hey, it's nice to see everyone in the chat as well. Make sure you all get involved.
Or is it equal?
Of course, it's not equal. No, that usually I do throw a bit of a trick question in there, but it's not equal this time.
Then I think
McTominay has scored. Go on.
McTominay.
McTominay has scored 12. Hodgson Edouard has scored 15 in the Premier League in total. So yeah, only 3 more goals for Hodgson Edouard, which is pretty shocking. He's actually been good this season. I think he's 3rd top goal scorer in the Prem in a minute with 4 goals. So yeah, he's just out of the blue, kind of turned up his form. Who's older, Eze or Mount?
Mount.
Yeah, Mount.
How old do you think they both are?
I think Mount is 24, 25. And I think Eze is below 24, 25.
You're right about Mason Mount. Mount's 24, Eze's 25. Eze's actually older, which I was a bit like...
Yeah.
A little bit surprised by. Who's older, Andre Onana or Dean Henderson? I love asking the questions because I don't have any accountability to answer the questions. So I could just throw them out there and not give a shit. You know what I mean?
Are they the same age?
Onana is somewhere.
You tell me.
28.
I think they're the same age.
You're not far off. You're around that area. Because
I think Onana is around that 27, 26 age mark.
I think Onana is 28, if I'm not wrong. I think Onana is older than...
I think Onana is older than Dean Henderson.
You both agree with that?
Yeah.
You're going to say it's wrong.
No, you're actually right. You got this one right. So Andre Onana is 27. Dean Henderson is 26.
Yeah.
Last one. Who's older, Joachim Anderson or Victor Lindelof?
Lindelof is somewhere around 28,
29. Lindelof.
And
I would say Lindelof is younger.
Shreyas, what do you think?
I'm actually not sure. I just know
That's a pusher.
Lindelof's age. That's it. I think Lindelof's 29. I think Anderson should be younger.
Yes, correct. Anderson's 27, Victor Lindelof is 29. So you done all right, not too bad. I'd probably say 50-50 on that. Lucky Singh's in the chat saying Sofyan, Amrabat, Ericsson, Mason Mount, Bruno in, Varane, Jones, Evans. Jones? I hope you're not referring to the almighty Phil Jones, because he's in the coaching setup now, I think. So I don't think he'll be playing. United Tactical Talks in the chat saying hi, hello. If you have any tactics for us, do put them in the chat.
Yeah.
Brian Case, the legends in the chat saying, evening, lads. How are we all doing? Very well. It's good to see you back, Brian. Sorry we've been away for a little bit. We've had a couple of shows, of course, but yeah, for reasons off camera, we have been off stream. So, but it's sorted now, hopefully. I think it's sorted, so we should be all right. Scoreboard saying I'm in a good mood as City can't win the quadruple. How are you? We're very good. Just the lads talking in the chat there. So let's dive into the game, lads. Let's focus on us for now, heading into this tie. I would go as far to say Tuesday was probably our most controlled, best performance so far this season. I personally believe it's kind of like the perfect cocktail, with certain players being dropped, individuals coming into the side like Amrabat, etc., and Palace not being at it on the same day. So it was kind of the perfect storm for us, if you will. Why will this game be any different from our perspective, Shreyas?
I think one thing is this game will be different because first off, it's in the Prem. That was the Carabao Cup. In the Prem, we are still in a very delicate position because in the Prem we are actually in a position where we need to string together 4 to 5 wins in order to get to a respectable points total, and then probably we ease more into the season. I think right now there is still a lot of pressure when it comes to the Prem games, and Palace know that as well. So I think Palace will come with more energy in this game. On the other hand, though, I would say, judging the game that we had against Palace, it wasn't like Palace. Yes, Palace were not at it, but we've been coming up against teams who are not at it, but they're still able to grow into the game and actually outplay us at times. We were able to avoid that by a very considerable factor against Palace. You could see why Ten Hag wanted some players in and what kind of football he actually wants us to play this season. Like, you could just see and you can get an idea as to how he wants us to progress this season, how he wants us to play not just against teams like Palace or teams like Sheffield or Burnley, but also against teams like the Tottenhams, your Manchester Cities, Liverpools. There is a pattern as to how he wants to play against those teams, and I think right now we are building up on it, like game after game after game. Probably once we reach that 10 game mark, probably we'll be in much better momentum. Players will be much more much better integrated into each other. The new players into the team will be back. The entire I would say the entire injured section of players that we've got at the moment, a major portion of it will come back as well by the time we by the time we play 10 Prem games. So I think we can take this week's performance. I think if we are able to once again convert the performance that we had this week against Palace once again on Saturday, I think it will be something very, very positive to build on, because Palace is not really an easy team. Like, it is a team that can cause you problems, and it is a team that has caused us problems for in quite a lot of games in the past few fixtures. So overall, I feel very confident going into this game, and with the way these players have turned up, especially the players who have not been played as much, like your Garnachos, your Pelistris, they have actually stepped up a lot, and probably it builds up a lot of pressure on players like Rashford and Bruno, who have not been performing as great.
They have been a little bit of a bogey team for us in the past. Obviously, the performance on Tuesday night, Dandy, it was, like I said, a lot more controlled in that, and a lot more of a perfect kind of performance. Based on that performance on Tuesday, who deserves to keep their place, do you think?
I think right side, we should be starting Pelistri because he has been so promising. I mean, he ticks all the check boxes, like tracking back and contributing in the attacks, and like playing the passes, so intelligent passes he's playing, and I mean, that combination he's creating between the other players. So that we were missing from long time. Even in Anthony, we didn't see that, and I think Hannibal also have given great performance. But then the question is, like, who would use? I mean, then in that case, you will have to bench Mount or Bruno Fernandes, and I don't see yet Hannibal starting ahead of Mason Mount. But yeah, to be honest, if I have to choose one, I will go with Pellistri. I think rest other teams pick itself.
Yeah, sorry, but I did hear most of that, but my thing broke up a little bit then. I don't know if that came across on the screen.
No.
For some bizarre reason, I don't know what it is, but when the Bluetooth's on, it just decides to connect. I don't know if it's Paul outside or the bin man or whatever the fuck it is, just connecting to someone's phone or something. So my headset switches and then the audio goes out. But I heard Pellistri.
Yeah.
He was happy with Pellistri. And there's a few more that should keep the place. And I absolutely agree with that because I thought there was some proper standout performers on Tuesday night. I want to talk about the balance in the midfield because we've had so many options now. We've got so many options, which is obviously a great headache to have. I'm not sure who's going to play where or how we're going to kind of tweak it. What's your personal preference in the midfield as it stands, Shreyas?
I think one thing that we've seen with Ten Hag since he's come in is for players to actually, be starting for him week in and week out, they need to show it. They need to earn their spots in this team. And if you have to see, in the midfield, what players have actually earned a starting position in this week in the match against Palace, you would go Casemiro, undoubtedly, Amrabat, undoubtedly. Like these two players have to be in that starting lineup. They played absolutely amazing in that game. Then you look into the likes of Hannibal Mabry, who I think broke a lot of records as well the last time he actually played for us, covered the most distance, the work rate, the efficiency with which he pressed. No other player has pressed as much as Hannibal Mabry has done for us. So
12 sprints per 90, wasn't it?
Something like that. So, and it's actually a very commendable figure for such a young player who's just come into a team. So, I think if he wants to play, Mabry against Palace once again, I actually, you cannot actually say that it's wrong because this player has actually been performing for us.
Who do you drop then if you're going to do that? Who doesn't get into the
That's
midfield?
the thing. Then you've got the likes of Mason Mount too, who I would say against Palace was actually very, very good. So, and perhaps, as the season progresses and he gets more minutes in, perhaps we'll see a even more refined version of Mason Mount in a United shirt.
Sure.
So, honestly, there are a lot of options, but I would say I think he will stick. I think Bruno has to come into this team. He's the captain. So, Bruno will come into the team, and then I think Casemiro and Amrabat walk into this team right now. So
yeah,
I think because of that, I would say Casemiro, Amrabat, or Bruno. But you never know. He doesn't start Amrabat. He brings him on during the 55th or the 60th minute. Decides to start with Casemiro, Bruno, or Mount, or Casemiro, Bruno, and Hannibal Mabry. There are still a lot of figures that can be made in this team, which is a good thing as well. It makes us unpredictable when we come against these sort of teams. And I think you could be seeing a big change in this game is because we've just played them. You don't want to come off too predictable, when you've played a team just now in a matter of days. So we could be seeing some very, different calls being made in this game.
Yeah, to be honest, when we bought Mason Mount, most of us were happy, but I was still concerned myself and Shivir were not, agreeing with the idea of...
Let's be honest, Dan, Sam as well. Sam was like, I do not want Mason Mount. All right, you said it. I get it.
Yeah, because it looks very good. Casemiro, Mason Mount, and Bruno Fernandes looks very good in if you are playing FIFA. But when it comes to that, the team chemistry and handling all the other areas as well. So now you have options in whether you Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes picks themselves. But the third one is you have Mason Mount, Amrabat, and then now you have Hannibal also, and Eriksen also is there. So with Eriksen, the problem was though the creativity was there, but that the legs were missing in the second half, especially. But with Mason Mount, the problem is there. We were too weak on when we are off the ball and when we need more defense wise. But now we have Amrabat who can do both of the thing. He is creative and he is well. In judging the gameplay, how he has to play, he is intelligent and he passes well and he is so strong while defending as well. So the Amrabat and Casemiro partnership could do great things in United, but still I'm not sure. Then that means that Mason Mount will be sitting on the bench, and you have spent a lot of money for a player just not to sit on the bench. So gonna be very interesting to see how it works out in the coming games.
Well, we've got more and more people joining the chat, so let us know your thoughts on that midfield. Who would you play there this weekend? Who would you push out maybe onto the wing? Because, of course, we had, obviously Bruno Fernandes and Rashford didn't start on Tuesday. You expect them to come back into the lineup. I want to speak about them very quickly, if we can. I've spoken to Chivy about it on the last preview. I was slightly worried about them because I feel like their form has been, if we're being, transparent, it's been pretty shit on it. I mean, they've had the odd game where they've been okay, but apart from that, they've been mega frustrating. And when you watch a performance like that on Tuesday, much more controlled, everyone was pulling, the weight together. Not to say Bruno doesn't pull his weight, but he does get frustrated sometimes. He does overreact. He does try that Hollywood pass sometimes too much. And equally with Rashford, doesn't press, or he's been accused of not pressing before, which breaks that kind of pressing structure. So just talk to me, whoever wants to go in on that. Rashford, Bruno, how do you feel about them players at the start of the season so far?
I think since the start of the season, they've definitely not been at the levels the levels at which they were last season. Like last season, they were arguably our better players in the squad. But I think since the season has started, I think more than Bruno, I would actually have to question Marcus Rashford. The reason being, there have been a lot of opportunities for Rashford, in games. You pick the game against Arsenal, you pick other games as well, against Brighton as well. He's had opportunities, and I think right now he's just not able to, tune in his decision making when he is in the box, whether to pass the ball, whether to take a shot or not. Maybe it has to do with confidence, maybe there are other reasons, but we've still not seen the Marcus Rashford of last season, up until now. And I think for this team to actually, play its best football and be most effective, it is when Marcus Rashford is in form. Like when Marcus Rashford starts to score, this team becomes even more deadly, which is a good thing because you need your better players to actually elevate the level of your team. But I think if you take out the game against Crystal Palace that we've been over reliant on Marcus Rashford since the start of the season. Because he hasn't been scoring, we've been struggling. So I think I think the kind of performance that Garnacho actually pulled in against Palace, I think right now Rashford, not only he needs to match that performance, no doubt, but he actually needs to get better than that as well, because Garnacho is still a youngster who's coming in. So you wouldn't want a youngster who's able to match your performances week in and week out. You need to be performing better than that. So I think Rashford, he needs to step up, and I think with time he would. Last season as well, he started the season quite slow. I still remember last season when it started, it took like 4 to 5 games for him to find his rhythm, and then slowly and surely he started to bang in more goals. Maybe it's the same case as Casemiro, as that he's a slow starter and he grows into the season. I think with Bruno, it's maybe it has to do with being tired out, him not
Too many
having
minutes,
the energy.
do you think?
Yeah, because last season he was the player who played the most minutes all across Europe. Even this season now, that since the start, if you take out the Palace game, he's played practically 90-95 minutes every single game, and he hasn't really been dropped in any single one of those. So it has to take an effect on its body. Maybe it's the same case for Rashford as well, and now that they've got a good rest and they come back against Palace, maybe we see a different version of them, or a better version of them on the field. But I think with Bruno, it has actually got to do more with being tired, because it's not even like that when he's on the pitch that he can rest or he's not working as hard. He covers every single area on that pitch, so it has to take a toll on its body.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Dan, just before you get into it, if you wanted to add anything on to that, I just want to read out a couple of comments. Hello all from Rajat V says Mount will be good. Shah Sam says Mount comes in at right wing, Bruno 10. I think I agree with that. And Brian Casey says I agree, Shah Sam. He has the opportunity now to lock down that position. So it'll be interesting when we dive into our predicted 11s very, very shortly. Did you have anything to add on to that, Dan, at all?
Yeah, so with Rashford, we can see that now the team is being transitioned from the old players, I mean, the old lot of players to the new ones. Now we are buying new players. So
Yeah.
I can see that Rashford was more comfortable with playing along those players. I mean, who are like when the game style was like counter-attacking, in that style of play, he was more comfortable. When the team is whole dependent on him, like he's the only sole person who is going to score. But now we have a lot of players who are well capable of scoring goals. Now, with Hoyland is there, now the goals will be shared among themselves. But now I think Rashford at some time, I mean, it needs to happen soon, that he has to bring some changes in his gameplay, where he, instead of playing as a lone player, he has to now consider the team he is playing alongside with, because now he will get more chances, more opportunities to provide assists and passes rather than just going alone for a goal. Now, but that thing has to come into his play quickly, and that will even improve his stats as well, even assist wise. Now we have so many times we have seen that he has a chance to play as easy assist, but yet he prefers to go for a shot. But I think one of the game, I don't remember the game, but in the first half he was taking too many shots alone when he had chance to pass in. But after the halftime, I think Ten Hag might have given him some stick, and at the next goal we scored, he was actually the person who should be taking the shot, but yet even he gave the pass to the other player, and the other player scored. So that has to come in game out. Every week he has to that mindset has to change. But with Bruno Fernandes, I think it's the way he is. I mean, he is a player who takes so many risks. So I'm not that much concerned about Bruno Fernandes because it's his part of his game, and he has said it already. But yeah, some calculated pass has to come into his game. Some decent, I mean, you would say, like, to be honest, it's not required for him to run around all over the places. So because he is now taking the places of other players, so that in itself brings a bit disruption. Though it may look like he's running around all over the place, but there has to be a discipline brought into his gameplay. That's what I think of him. But I'm not much concerned about Bruno Fernandes, but I'm more concerned about Rashford.
Yeah, I think them two both need to be clicking though, don't they? If we're to be successful this season, you need, a little bit of magic out of them two. Scoreboard saying, is Reguilon back or will Amrabat be left back? I'm not too sure. It's a bit 50-50 at the minute. I think he will be.
Yeah.
Apparently the news about his injury was better than what most people expected, so maybe he will be back. I'm not sure. We'll dive into the Predicted 11 shortly. Obviously, it is a Palace preview. We've spoken about Manchester United quite a lot. I'm going to speak about Palace slightly. Shreyas, if you're Roy Hodgson going into this game, obviously just received a battering at Old Trafford 3-0. What are you changing specifically to hurt Manchester United at the weekend? Where do you think we are vulnerable?
Just stay compact. Like for the first 30 minutes of the game, stay compact and don't leave the goal, because we've seen it on a lot of occasions that, when we have the chances and we are not able to convert them, and we've seen that happen a lot in a lot of fixtures, that in the first 30 minutes we are by far the better team, but because we haven't scored, suddenly the opposition team scores off a counter attack, the heads just drop, the confidence is lost. I think that's the only way that they can actually counter us. Just wait for the first 30 minutes, let them do whatever they want to do, stay compact, maintain your shape, and then just hit them on the counter. If you are able to get the goal, then United, they're a team that actually frustrates very easily. So that's the only way they can actually hurt us, because aside that, I don't really see any player in that lineup who can cause us issues, because we've got a good 11 now, a fit 11 who can actually come in and play, and we have actually been able to, defeat them 3-0. So it has to, help our confidence and hurt their confidence at the same time.
Are there any players in particular you admire, Dan, in that Palace team? Like, what do you think about them as a unit in general? Where do you think they'll finish? Just give me a kind of overall brief of what you think about them.
I think, they have not been that bad in season, though the stats looks, the ranking or the points looks different, because most of the games they have lost in a very close margin. So they have been like giving the competition to the opponents. But they have to be more decent on one of the aspects is I can see like this positions, ball position has been so bad actually. In last game also against United, like we are not used to having like majority of possessions, but in the last game the possession, you see the difference was a lot. So if they can maybe keep the ball more in their half, with them, and try to take the ball towards the opponent half, then I think they may get more opportunities, because their attack, the number of attacks is so less. So that's one of the places I can see they can improve themselves. But on the side of it, I think they are missing few of the main players. Like the Zaha used to carry the whole team on his shoulder, but now even
that
though
burden's kind of on Eze now, isn't it? Like they're kind of relying on him to create something. So
exactly, the expectation has now shifted to Eze and a couple of more players, but they are not living up to the mark what Zaha was doing for them.
Yeah, agreed. We've got 11 people in the chat. Let us know your thoughts. Again, I'm just going to apologise again because there hasn't been like consistent content over the past couple of days. I had stuff going off outside obviously the YouTube channel and stuff, but we sorted it now hopefully. So yeah, there'll be consistent content every single day again. So I do apologise for that. Just a quick fire question for you before we actually get into the quick fires. So I'm going to call them pre-quick fire.
Sure.
We seem to have a nice run of games now. We've got Palace, Galatasaray, Brentford, Sheffield United, and Copenhagen. I think the last two are after the international break. Do you believe we can start gaining some momentum now over the past couple of results? Like, do you think we can go on a kind of winning run? Yes or no?
I think we can. I think the only tough
yeah.
fixture I would say in all these games has to be just Galatasaray. Every single other fixture I would say that we can comfortably win.
Okay, Dan?
Yeah, exactly. So now we are fortunate to have these. I mean, the run of games that are easily winnable, but our history says that we are the ones who struggle on these kind of games. So I would say I'll be still keeping my fingers crossed.
Okay, let's do some quick fire questions then. Tomorrow night, Man United versus Crystal Palace in the Premier League. Start the clock. Will both teams score?
No.
Yes.
Will Maguire start?
No.
I think yes.
One surprise selection.
Maguire.
That's fine.
Mason
I
Mount?
would say
Okay.
Pelistri.
Okay, interesting. Any red cards or VAR decisions?
VAR, yes.
Yeah. To be fair, that's
Has
a
to
given, innit?
happen.
I shouldn't even
Has
ask
to
that
happen.
question. Yeah. Who is your prediction for man of the match?
Mason Mount.
Bruno Fernandes.
Lovely. I like it. Come back with a bang, Bruno. That's what we're expecting, or at least that's what we're hoping. Dropped for the first game in about 5 years. Is what it feels like. Okay, are we ready to do predicted 11s?
Yeah,
Shreyas?
yeah.
Dr. Shreyas?
Yeah.
Should I call you?
Your 11 is up first.
My 11 is okay. I've gone with Andre Onana in net because Diego Dalot at right back, Varane, Lindelof, Reguilon. I think. I don't know about Maguire though because I'm in two minds because he actually played okay on Tuesday night, so I don't know if he goes for him again or. But I like Lindelof at left centre back, so I'll put Lindelof there. Reguilon, I think comes back into the side. Casemiro and Amrabat just because I felt like I saw Amrabat described as like a Swiss Army knife. The other night, like he's just capable of doing everything. He's perfect in all scenarios, and he brings really good balance. So I want to see him again alongside Casemiro. Bruno obviously comes back into the side. I think Mount goes out onto the wing, Højlund up top, and then the Manchester boy in Rashford on the left hand side.
Yep.
So yeah.
And
Let me know on the decisions what you think. If you agree with me or disagree with me in the chat, let me know. Talk to me. Who's next?
next is Dan.
Hit me up, Dan. Let's go.
I gone with almost the same defense with Onana in the goal and Dalot as right back, Varane and Lindelof starting, and Reguilon as a left back. I hope he starts Reguilon. Otherwise, we might be seeing.
He's been good, hasn't he?
He has been good.
Been really good.
Yeah.
I think Reguilon is one of the best signings for this summer, I would say.
It's weird, isn't it? Alone. A player from Tottenham who can't get a fucking game.
Who we didn't even want.
Yeah, he's second on the list. Crazy.
Yeah, and in the midfield, I would. I think the team. Then I would go with Casemiro, Bruno, and Mount. And on the attack side, I think Garnacho, Højlund, and Rashford starting with Garnacho and Rashford switching positions.
Okay, interesting. Shreyas, you've gone with something slightly different, haven't you?
Yeah, but pretty much the same 11 as yours. I've gone with the same backline.
I meant from Dan's, by the way, not from mine,
yeah, sure. Yeah, and I think it's going to be Højlund, Rashford, and Mount on the right hand side because he took Mount off at the 45th minute mark in that game, which means that he wanted to rest him. So I think Mount will definitely be starting this game. Bruno has to come in, Rashford has to come in, and Højlund will start. So 1, 2, 3, 4 slots are already gone. You're left with Casemiro, Amrabat, who have to start as well. And then I think the defense picks itself as well because Lindelof, and I think right now Lindelof and Varane are a best centre-back partnership who are fit. Probably when Lisandro comes back and grows into that role once again, I actually genuinely want Lisandro Martinez to come back, but come back fully fit, not to be rushed.
Yeah, don't rush him back. Don't rush him back. I mean, we've kept 2 clean sheets in the past 2 games, so we don't need to rush him back for now.
Yeah.
You want him for the Champions League games, etc. So I would not rush him back. I mean, it was obvious when it was Lisandro that he didn't look himself, did he, at the start of the season?
There were glimpses of him. There were glimpses of him on the ball,
going on.
It just didn't look like, he was comfortable actually playing the full 90 minutes.
But just imagine when he does come back, though, like Lisandro on form, Casemiro, Amrabat, Varane,
Maybe that's when
Bruno.
Yeah, I
like,
think maybe that's when Casemiro, Bruno, and Mount actually start to work really well when
Yeah,
Lisandro Martinez comes back to full fitness.
But
agreed.
personally, I would like to see Pelistri start on the right, because that lad has given all in the previous
Yeah.
games as well. Like
He
he has
should.
shown everything what a right winger should have, and we like it's in itself is a crazy thing to say that we have so many right wingers and yet we are going with Mason Mount. Nothing wrong with Mason Mount, but like we have so many options, but yet we are going with Mason Mount. And
No, I think that's
yeah.
a fair assessment, to be fair. I just think there's a pressure in it because Mount costs, what, 55, 60 million pound.
Yeah.
There's more lenience kind of to play him, and then a youngster that will kind of understand it a little bit more. But I get the dynamic that you're on about. I agree with you in that sense. Don't forget, we've got Ahmad coming back as well after the international break with Kobe Mainu. So that's more competition for them places. So I'm excited to do that. Look, we've spoken about everything. We've covered every blade of grass there possibly is. This now is the score prediction for tomorrow. What do you think, lads? United versus Palace.
3-1 United.
Who scores?
Bruno, Rashford, and Højlund.
Nice. I like that. I hope you're right. Shreyas?
4-0.
1-0.
4,
Okay.
4.
Oh, 4-0. Fucking
Yeah.
hell. Who scores the 4 then?
Højlund scores over 4.
Oh my god, gee, that is a bold prediction if I've ever seen one. Fair play. I mean, I don't know what's more bold. Someone's gone for Donny to start for the Crystal Palace game. Oh, the fact that Shreyas just said 4-0 and Højlund scores everyone. Listen, if any of your predictions are bang on, then fair enough.
If Højlund scores
you've
4,
called it there.
that will be something.
Yeah,
completely
unbelievable. Yeah, he'll go right up there, top scorer as well. To be fair, I'm gonna go in between years. I'm gonna go 2-1. I think I don't want to take too much from the last game just because there was so many changes from both sides. You can kind of have them games. I think Palace will be more of a threat on the counter attack at Old Trafford. So I do think they'll get a goal, but I think we'll win 2-1. Who scores? I mean, I think Bruno does score, and then I don't know, Bruno Mount. Let's go with why not? Let's see what happens. That concludes the preview for today, guys. Of course, the game is on Saturday, another 3 o'clock kickoff, which cannot be asked with. We'll have Eric Ten Hag's press conference tomorrow, I think it is, so I'll be live for that. We have the pros and cons dropping in the morning as well. That's been clipped and edited and stuff, so that's ready to drop. And then we might have a new show Friday night as well. So we're back with loads of content, as always. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new here. We was on 3,399 subs, I think, before we went live. So if anyone subscribed, then you just ticked us over that point, and we really, really appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you to the lads for joining me as well. And yeah, I'm going to go rest me back because it's fucking killing. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Yes.